Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are here at Hoboken University Medical Center, located at 308 Willow Avenue. And folks, we have an extremely special guest with us, and he is the second most talented hockey player on set behind yours truly, and that is my good friend, Mayor Sean Spiller from Montclair. Welcome to the Pulse, my good
Thanks
friend.
for having me on. Although it sounds like you want to start this off with a little bit of a hockey fight. This might be how we go, right?
I'm just kidding. I haven't skated in a long time. He can circle laps around me. Let me just tell you. Congratulations on your candidacy for governor of the great state of New Jersey. You're running for the Democratic nomination.
I am.
And I think we should start out with first talking about your current role as mayor of Montclair, just for like a few more days, right?
Sure, yeah, not that much longer.
I was going to say, can you talk about some of your accomplishments there?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of things, but first thing that stands out to me is rent control. I say that because of affordability. I think as someone who took years trying to find a place that was affordable to live there, myself, being able to do something that people could afford to come to Montclair and quite frankly stay in Montclair was huge. But it's not just that. When I look at Montclair, I think people have a perception of the great things that we offer, and you come to Montclair anytime there's something going on, and really proud of all that. But we've been able to also invest in things you don't see all the time, right? We've done a ton around infrastructure, right? Water lines, sewer lines, repaving roads, and at the same time doing it while getting our bond rating to AAA, reducing our debt, kind of showing that you can do all these things. You can invest in people, you can invest in infrastructure, and you can do it in a fiscally responsible way. So really excited about all that.
Unbelievable. And congratulations on all your accomplishments there. They're unbelievable, like I mentioned. So you decided to run for governor.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, listen, I'll say this from my perspective. For a lot of years, I've been in service, right? I'm a high school science teacher, by trade, and so done that for a number of years, and of course now public service as a councilman, as mayor. But what I've always noticed along the way is it's important to have our voices in the room. Mm-hmm. I learned that early on, whether as a science teacher, it's like, hey, who's deciding what I get to dissect and what goes on in my classroom? I should have a voice in that. I should have say in that. And I've seen it also as mayor and as councilman before. Having a voice in those spaces where decisions are being made is so important. And I think it's important for one of us to be able to have that chance and make sure our voice is there.
Absolutely. And we're about a good 16 months away from the campaign, right? Or from election day, November 2025. So what are some of your goals during the campaign?
Yeah, well, I think specifically during the campaign, you want to get out there, you want to have conversations with people and talk to them about what their issues are as well. I think I look at it and my story, I think, is a lot like a lot of people's story in New Jersey. I'm the son of immigrant parents. They chose New Jersey, which is just such a great place to live. But also my father had to be away for months at a time, making sure he was, finding income to make sure he could support our family. My mom, was a teacher in Jamaica, but had to, find something else while she was here. So it's that tale of two worlds, if you will, right? A great place to live, but a hard place to afford. And I benefited from the public schools and everything else. So I understand New Jersey, but I also understand we've got to make sure people can afford to be here and can afford to really support their families and spend time with them while they're enjoying this great state. I think it's important to not only bring that message out, but to hear from people like, how do we do that for you, right? How do we help New Jerseyans be able to share in that the richness that's in New Jersey itself?
Absolutely, and affordability is definitely a key to any type of at the forefront of any type of issues here in New Jersey. And in Montclair, I think that you've tackled it, as you mentioned, with rent control and so on and so forth. So if you're lucky enough to be elected as governor, is that going to be the first major challenge that you're going to try to solve?
Well, we talk about affordability, right? And I think that's a wide range of it, but I think it's also doing it in a collaborative way, in a way through conversation. That's one of the things I'm really proud of, both as mayor and certainly in my other role as NJA president. It's working together with people, and I think that matters in the sense of, as an educator, what always bothered me, and I think bothers so many of us, is that we're often out of the decision making, and we get then inundated with red tape, right? You talk to any educator, they're just like, let me teach, let me do my job. And but yet there's so many other things you have to do. And I bet if you talk to somebody running a small business, they'd say the same thing, right? You talk to an average New Jerseyan, they'd say the same thing. Like, kind of, the government's there to help us, support us, make sure we got the guardrails that make sure we're okay. But otherwise, get out of the way. Like, don't put the red tape in my way that's going to slow me down. So I think it's understanding what we can do in those spaces to help move that forward. And I think that's a big part of what you get through the conversation, but also as governor, that's what I hope to do.
Absolutely. And Governor Murphy has done an exceptional job in the last 8 years. But obviously there's still challenges that face the state of New Jersey. I was just wondering if you want to talk about those challenges and what you would do if elected as governor.
Yeah, so I think good point, right? Progress. We've made some great progress, and I think that's wonderful. But I look at it, I've got 2 young kids at home, right? And when you talk about that affordability, I think we talked about this a little bit, right? Hey, talk about trying to find quality, affordable childcare. Super expensive, right?
Totally.
Now you're here for the great schools, which is wonderful, but are you saving for college? Because you don't want to inundate them with college debt, right? That's the next layer around this as well. By the way, along the way, can you afford to live where you want, right? Let's say you're trying to move to a wonderful community like Montclair, folks, right? Yeah.
Or Hoboken.
But fair.
Exactly.
I know we are.
Come on.
But you've got to be able to afford to live there, right? And that means foot in the door, get there. But also when you're trying to pay for all the other things that cost with the family or otherwise, it's got to be something you can maintain. So it's making sure we're addressing all those pieces. And I think having someone who's had that lived experience, is important, and that's something I would bring.
Absolutely. And like you said, you worked your way up. You were a science teacher, then you became a councilman, mayor, and now looking to become governor of this great state. Mayor Spiller, I was just wondering, NJEA president, I think that's important for the folks at home to know, because New Jersey is consistently ranked with the top schools in the country.
Number one. Number one.
I mean, and you've now been the head for the NJEA for how long?
Yeah, I've been president for coming up on 4 years.
4 years.
3 years.
Exactly. I mean, I guess the NJEA and the public schools in New Jersey is a success story. It really is.
Yeah.
And I guess we other things can model themselves after the NJEA, correct?
Yeah, well, I think.
Oh, the public schools, right.
Well, our public schools are the best, and we say that, all throughout the nation, right? People should be looking at what we're doing. But I think you touched on a key piece. We're successful because of partnership, right? You're in partnership with parents. You've got to make sure, you're in partnership with your students. You're in partnership with communities. But it's also making sure that people's voices are heard, right? You think about it, it's oftentimes, I hate to say it, but it's right. It's a millionaire, billionaire swooping in, and they get a lot of, they have a lot of dollars, they get a lot of attention.
Totally.
But to be able to come together, and I think as part of a union where you say, hey, we have almost 200,000 of us, let's come together to say, we want to advocate for our communities. We want to advocate for our schools. And when you do that, you can match in some ways, get closer to the financial side, but certainly through that people power, really be able to say we can be strong advocates. And the last thing I'll say on that is, it's one of the reasons why we have the best schools in the nation is because we've got some great people, parents, educators, students, who do the work each and every day, but then spend the time to advocate for what our schools and our communities need. That makes the difference.
Absolutely. Well, Mayor, we have a little less than 90 seconds to go in this segment. We're having all this fun, I know, but we got to get on the ice because I opened my mouth up in the beginning. Anyway, is there anything you would like to say to the audience about why they should elect you for first a Democratic nomination next June 2025? Or basically, I'm opening the floor up to the audience for you.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for asking
absolutely.
that. And I would say to everybody listening, this is our chance, right? This is our chance to have somebody who's high school science teacher, son of immigrant parents, who's come here, knows what Jersey has to offer, knows the challenges that we all face. I've got a young family. Those challenges that we see each and every day affect us, and you're trying to rush out, get them to school on time, but at the same breath, you're trying to get to your job, and you're also trying to make sure you can provide for them and their futures. I think that's what we all strive for, having that lived experience that I think so many of you have. That's why I'm running for governor, to be our voice in those spaces, in those rooms where decisions are made, and to bring that experience to fight for us.
Well, Mayor Sean Spiller, the current mayor of Montclair, only for a few more days.
Yes.
By the way, he's doing the right thing. He's stepping down as mayor and focusing all of his time to run for the Democratic nomination for governor. We wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you back on the program.
Right.
And,
I love it. Thanks for having me.
And then maybe on the ice as well.
Well, listen, anytime on that front, I'm ready.
I really appreciate it. Thanks again. All right, folks, from Hoboken University Medical Center, located at 308 Willow Avenue in the beautiful city of Hoboken, New Jersey, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, on this segment of the Pulse without that bum, Peter Biancamano. But with me to my right, but politically to my left, is Frank Rosner. We always have fun arguing with each other. I make sense. He makes word salad.
I'm the other bum.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So let's start off the segment. What do you want to talk about, my friend?
Well, I guess there's a myriad of items we could talk about, but I'll let you start it off because you usually have something incessantly dramatic about things that are going on with Hoboken or the street or the hospital or wherever you go.
That's funny because 9 out of 10 of our viewers have voted, and they say that you're the drama queen in this team. So,
Oh, really?
indeed, it's true. And just also something that is exceptionally true is that Trump kicked Biden's tuchus during the debate this past Thursday.
Tuchus, wow. Boy, we've assimilated real well. Now people are using our words.
What do you mean? I am one of
Tuchus.
our people. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. So what? I
What-
mean, I know what tuchus is.
Rega-
Half of America knows what tuchus is.
Regardless, when it came to the fisticuffs, that was the debate. I mean, Sleepy Joe was lethargic
Not at all.
and doesn't have a record that one can defend.
Not at all. Not at all. Uncle Joe was what he was supposed to be. He did what he had to do. He slam dunked on Donald. Donald was horrific. He was terrible. It was the worst performance I've ever seen him give.
The only
And
people,
every
the
performance he
only
makes is
person that
terrible.
historically was known as Uncle Joe is when we were allied with the Soviet Union against the Nazis. So if you're making the comparison to Joe Biden, that his ineptitude is as dangerous as Joe Stalin's evil was during the Soviet Union, I couldn't agree more. But moving on to local issues, I'd like to talk about the never-ending insanity that are Hoboken streets with the bicycle supremacists riding all over the place. What are your thoughts?
It's we don't often agree on items and issues, but I'm with you on this one. I got to tell you, in fact, I don't want to start off with a joke, and it's not really a joke. There's a building on Third and Park. They're asking for a duplex. They're asking for $4.1 million as a purchase price. Now, I'm sure the people that are going to buy that building are buying that building or that apartment or condo because we have bike lanes. Ridiculous. I mean, I'm not against bike lanes, and I've said that before, but they need to be in the appropriate places. And by the way, those people that grease the voting wheel, who various administrations have really paid a lot of attention to, I guess there's approximately, about 42,000 registered voters in Hoboken?
Something like that.
And there's the number that I'm familiar with is 3,500 to 6,000, depending on the election cycle. Obviously, a presidential election will bring out far more than the 3,000 that consistently vote. The problem with the 3,000 that consistently vote, about 25% of them leave town after 2 or 3 years. And we get stuck with what they voted for through the administration, who actually wants their votes because that's how they get in.
Well, if more
Am I wrong?
if more of those people, that left town, if you could be like them and get the hell out of my life, that'd be great. But I disagree with you on whether or not we should have bike lanes. If you want to ride in the street in a vehicle, the type of vehicle is your choice. They shouldn't have to redesign the street for you. But more important than the regular bicyclist that lives in town and just wants to get around to town on a bike are the e-vehicle delivery drivers that drive like maniacs and are driving at 20, 15, sometimes 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk, or not stopping, or they're in the street, but they're not stopping for the red lights. And at this point in my life, I've just come to accept the fact that one day I will be hit. I do not move for them. I'm if they want to hit me, that they need to move, or otherwise I'm going to keep on walking straight. And if they hit me, that's on them. I will brace myself before that impact so that they will also be hurt, but I am not moving. I will not surrender the sidewalk to them, and no one should. Obviously, if you have a kid, a dog, or are a little bit older, I get it. Do what you need to do. I feel you. But I'm so tired of them.
I agree 100%. The fact is that I use my vehicle to go to work, come back from work. It is a trip that is it's like trepidation to me. You can't see them. They're riding. They ride on the left. They ride on the right. If you're traveling up going towards Observer Highway, they're right beside you. If you need to make a right turn, forget about it. You can't see them. They're just wishing by. They do not stop at the stop signs. The majority of them. Some of them do, I suppose. I haven't seen many of them stop at the stop sign. Some of them are speeding through. Total disregard for not just vehicles, but pedestrians, baby carriages, whatever other type of transportation is on the sidewalk or the street. They don't care.
Oh, you know what else is a
They
new?
don't care.
You know what else is a new phenomenon that really grinds my gears?
Oh,
It's the
that's my gear.
the flavored ice people that walk up and down the street, sometimes in the sidewalk, sometimes in the street. It's like, get out of the street. Like, I know the street is more flat than some of the sidewalks, but the street is where cars belong, not you. And they have that incessant bell that they're always ringing, the whole time. I have flipped out and gone outside and yelled at them that they should stop, ringing the PHing bell. Because it's annoying. Ring it every once in a while, and it's not the end of the world, okay? But ringing constantly, and then I wish a pox upon you, and I hope you, get the pox.
Well, look, I understand that the city is actually changing their name. It's up for a vote in the council. We're thinking of changing our name from Hoboken to Amsterdam.
Oh, well, there's so
yeah.
much weed smoking go out on the street. And don't get me wrong, I used to smoke trees, no doubt. I begrudge no
We
one.
don't even have a
you know.
dispensary.
Well, there's plenty of dispensaries in town.
Well,
there's the one on my
Not
block.
the legal ones. Which one is the legal?
No, there's the train
two?
station.
Oh,
There's
that's
the one
right,
on the
that's right,
train
you're right.
station. There's the one
You're
on
right.
my block, blue or purple violets. That's by appointment only.
Right. Well, I'm not familiar with that.
And
stuff.
then there's every store, which is a lot of them, that sells it illegally under the table. I'm not going
Wow.
to shout them out. I don't believe it should be regulated
There
like
is
it is. But I do believe that you shouldn't be able to smoke weed in our parks. And so I wish our cops would give people tickets. Now, I know they're afraid because our state is run by namby-pamby liberals that don't want to
Now,
arrest anybody.
Wait a minute.
I'm waiting. I thought you might have something to say other
The
than...
thing is that I do believe this city in particular, because I live here, I've been here for 44 years, ladies and gentlemen. 44 years. I've seen a lot. The city has a tendency to regulate everything that is not necessary to regulate.
Well, things are already illegal, and it doesn't, and our state and
I
city
agree.
doesn't enforce those laws, like no camping in the parks. Yet what happens?
I agree.
Camping happens in the parks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is monumental. We have no disagreements so far.
He can't spell monumental.
Well, I'm monu, you're mental. But anyway.
First funny joke ever, right here. You saw it on the pulse.
And hey, look, I'm riffing right now. When I start riffing, it's a good thing. But I got to tell you, it's really never happened before that we actually agree on most items. In fact, every item since we started talking today. Wow.
Well, we got 30 seconds left. Is there anything you'd like to say to the TV world out there and the internet?
The only thing I'd like to say to the TV world is good to be on with you. And then, this segment in particular really has the pulse on the city.
Well, it was definitely really, really good to have you back. I'm so glad you came. And I hope next time that you'll sit down with Peter, and so I won't suffer. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Have a great one.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there.
Welcome back to the Pulse of Peter B. Peter Biancamano back in the host chair and back at the awesome Impasto's Pizzeria located at 102 Washington Street in the beautiful city of Hoboken, New Jersey. And as promised a few weeks ago, we had the person to my right, which of course is our pro wrestling insider, Mr. Rob Tonnesen. Welcome back, good sir.
Pleasure to be here. While I was waiting, had a nice slice. It was pretty good.
Pretty good is right, exactly. Well, as mentioned, you were here a few weeks ago discussing a mid-year review of the WWE as we reach the mid-year points. Right? Did I get that
Yeah,
correct?
you got that right.
I'm pretty sure. See, I'm
give it to
stumbling
you.
on words, correct?
Yes.
Of 2024. And this week we are going to be talking about AEW, All Elite Wrestling, the second-tier wrestling promotion.
I will not dignify that with a response, sir.
Totally understood. But let's talk about the high so far. And why don't we talk about their international exposure? What do you like so much about their international exposures thus far?
Well, first of all, being the fact that this is going to be airing on June 30th, today as of air date for this is going to be Forbidden Door. And Forbidden Door is always a fun time because this is the AEW collaboration with New Japan. So there's going to be these kind of ideas of dream matches. So you're going to have John Moxley, Tetsuya Naito, and a lot of AEW versus New Japan people. But as far as international exposure, you have John Moxley, their main guy, as the main champion in New Japan. So he's held the same belt that guys like Brock Lesnar has held in the past. Tatsumi Fujinami, and all. I can go all the way down the list. But the signings that they've had, Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada, have been as advertised, as good as advertised, if not better. Will Ospreay was somebody that I did not like years ago, but my goodness, has he gotten worlds better.
Interesting. Now, talk about overcoming adversity. I joked, and for all those AEW fans out there, I was joking about being the second-tier wrestling promotion. All Elite Wrestling is still there. I mean, a lot of people thought it was going to be a failed project now.
And you saying that second tier right off the top is kind of one of my points. The idea that they're not trying to be they're not trying to beat WWE. They're never going to.
Right.
But they're trying to be the alternative. And so what the perception of AEW is trying to be more the alternative rather than the exception, which is, I think, finding their lane as far as overcoming adversity.
Very interesting. Now, Bryan Danielson. Again, last week we spoke about Sami Zayn, and you had I called it a curve, you called it biasness. You have probably a little bit of biasness towards Bryan Danielson, of course, the former Daniel Bryan in the WWE. Why is he doing so well in AEW?
Well, first things
So
first
far.
is this is his last year as a full-timer. So
Wow.
he's going out with dream match after, whatever he wants to do, whether it be going to Mexico and wrestling Blue Panther, whether it be going wrestling Yu Nakayama, whether it be going to Japan and wrestling Okada. He's doing whatever he wants to do, and he's not wrestling with restrictions like he would in the WWE. Plus, it's the fact of, yes, I talked about Sami Zayn and the story, but remember, Bryan Danielson lost how many years of his career because of brain injuries and concussions. So to be able to come back from those injuries and succeed at everything that you are doing, and doing it at a level that is better than when you were at what everybody said was your best, it's nothing but a great story.
Unbelievable. Another great story, and I didn't even know he was wrestling still, Rob, is Sting's retirement.
Yes.
How old is he now?
He was 62 at retirement.
Wow. And are you sure he's retired, or is he going to
Yes.
pull the Ric Flair?
No,
Okay.
he's not pulling a Flair. No.
Why do you like it so much?
AEW should not is good at the things we should not know they're good at. So they've been around for 5 years. Unfortunately, they have had to deal with a lot of tragedy. The death of Brody Lee, the death of Jay Briscoe. And I mentioned in the last episode that I was at Supercard of Honor. Mark Briscoe got to come down to the ring to Lynyrd Skynyrd, Give Me Back My Bullets, which was him and his brother's song. The tributes to Brody Lee, the tributes to Jay, as well as Sting's retirement was so well done. Tony Khan willing to spend that much money to buy the rights to the Metallica song that Sting used to wrestle out with. His children dressing up as older versions of Sting, and just the touching moments that they have where you watch it and it kind of makes you happy to be a fan in that weird sort of way.
Unbelievable. Well, similar to last week, 2 weeks ago, I should say, when we spoke about the WWE, where there's highs, there's lows. Let's start with the first low of AEW being the Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole. Why was it such a low so far in 2024?
Injuries.
Interesting.
Basically injuries. So all throughout 2023, there was this storyline with MJF and Adam Cole over the belt and this whole devil gimmick. It turned out to not be great because of injuries to MJF, injuries to Adam Cole. And since then, the Undisputed Kingdom has gone really nowhere. Sure, you have Roderick Strong, great wrestler. Sure, you have Wardlow. He's big, he's fine, whatever. Then you have the Kingdom, the tag team of Mike Bennett, who's good, and then Matt Taven. The less said about him, the better.
Interesting. So now, the all-in footage and the elites. I was a little confused about this. So first an explanation, and why was it so negative?
Okay, just like the last episode, we do not have enough time for the explanation, so I will get right to the cliff notes. So CM Punk, remember at All In back in 2023 last year when Wembley Stadium, he got into that fight with Jack Perry. The Tony Khan and the Elite, the Young Bucks, decided it was a good idea to show the security footage of the fight backstage. CM Punk went on the Ariel Helwani show and basically told his side of the story. And Tony Khan and the Elite was not fans of what CM Punk did, so they thought releasing the footage would embarrass CM Punk. It did exactly the opposite, and it was not a good look for Tony Khan, and not really a good look for the Young Bucks, but nothing's really a good look for the Young Bucks.
Interesting. Mercedes Moné.
Mercedes Moné is a great talent. Mercedes Moné is a great wrestler. I do not think her beating Willow Nightingale on my shirt at Double or Nothing was a great idea. I understand why they did it, because she's the name, because she's the one that sells tickets. But the thing about AEW that could be considered a low is don't rely on former WWE talent.
Interesting.
That WCW did with don't rely on the former WWE talent. They did a great job of building their own.
Wow.
I've mentioned how they have their own in Ospreay, but you've also got Swerve Strickland, you've got Willow Nightingale, Julia Hart, Chris Statlander, Eddie Kingston, build around them.
Wow. 15 seconds, Rob. Your AEW matches of the year thus far in 2024.
Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay from Dynasty. I could say any Bryan Danielson match from AEW and put it up there. But
No bias there.
No, none at all. Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay from Dynasty, and Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston from Revolution, and then Sting's last match from Revolution, just because of how the story ended and all those nice little moments.
Well, absolutely awesome. Rob Tonnesen, our pro wrestling insider, always a wealth of knowledge in the pro wrestling industry. We are always so happy to have you, and we look forward to a future show.
I am very looking forward to come back. Get a little salsa in.
Exactly. Apparently so,
Yeah,
right?
right?
You know? They must know the segment is
They
ending.
must.
Thank
Absolutely.
you again.
That's our cue to go.
Exactly. All right, folks. I'm Peter Biancamano, and I'm going to go start dancing, and I hope you have a great week, everybody.